Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of John Lewis. Many of you may have heard that he did pass away recently. He was a politician, and he was also very prominent in civil rights movement as far as the desegregation and civil rights. Very prominent in that. Now, of course, I didn't get a time of birth for him, so I'd improvise again and do a solar slash sunrise chart for him, in which I put the sun at the same position as the ascendant. Um, he was born I have him at February 21st, 1940, and sun sign is in Pisces, of course, and this puts the moon in Leo. So this is really, when you look at the sun, I'm going to talk a little bit about his chart and some transits that had played a role in his passing and some natal placements as well. But first I want to talk about, okay, him being, he's a sun in Pisces, moon in Leo. Well, Sun in Pisces shows where somebody may want ideals to make their dreams attain, things that might seem unattainable to others. He may, for Pisces, they will often still try to make those things into reality. And Pisces also, Sun and Pisces can focus on the people that are the less privileged, the unfortunate, impoverished, homeless, hungry, and is very altruistic as far as the basic character goes. Having the moon in Leo, it's not surprising that energy that he as far as him, as far as that Sun and Pisces energy, blended in very well, was injected into getting, you could say, was flavored with attaining, no, I should say flavored with attaining some notoriety and recognition, and also perhaps done in a very noble, you're talking about Leo energy, noble manner, and it was, and again, getting notoriety and recognition for it. And the thing about it is, he strikes me as somebody that was very reticent and humble. But Moon and Leo on a subconscious level may have been, maybe subconsciously, really not acknowledging, but being enamored with being praised and lauded for what he was, for what he did. And again, very prominent in the civil rights movement. And based on the solar sunrise chart, it puts the midheaven in Sagittarius. And the midheaven, the MC in astrology, can be associated with our public image, our reputation. And having Sagittarius there, you're talking about Sagittarius, it can equate with the Sagittarius could be the sign that is associated with other cultures, creeds, and I would say races as well. It's people that are foreign to us, so it's not surprising that he developed some reputation and had success, got notoriety, recognition for doing something that was associated with people that was something that was involved with races, the desegregation of races, and again, he did attain a lot of acclaim and recognition for that. Now, I wanted to talk about some things in his chart that may have played a role in his passing, natal placements and transits. Now, the thing about it is, people have to understand the Sun in Pisces. I know he lived to 80 years old, so you're talking about longevity was actually very good for him, but still, the Sun in Pisces is not exactly known for robust constitution. Their immune system can be a little bit weak, can be weaker on average than most. I don't know his ascendant or rising sign, but that may have factored in a little bit more. If he had a rising sign, say that was one, and that would be connected with a stronger constitution. That's something I don't know, of course, but the thing about it is, he had transit Neptune in the first house in the solar sunrise chart at the time. So you're talking about transit Neptune in the first house, and that could sometimes give certain weakness. And may have, you're talking about where it could make a person a little bit more lethargic, a little bit of feeling a little bit weaker. And Neptune is about dissolving, dissipating energy. The first house can be associated with our vitality, our energy. So this was a time where he probably was, where his energy level was somewhat depleted. Transit Neptune was not far from his natal Mercury at the time, so it wouldn't surprise me if there may have been maybe some memory issues that he may have been going through as well at this time. As one, of course, that's going to come when you're at an older age as well with people, regardless of transits. But the fact that transit Neptune was near his Mercury might have actually given a greater, well, I would say, give a greater propensity for this. Now, as far as and Neptune can be associated with diseases as well. And you're talking about Neptune at in the first house. It could be where your physical body may be taking a toll on something that on as far as a disease go. Now, pancreatic cancer, I'm presuming that is something that can't be eradicated or cured. I mean, since people have succumbed to it, I would at least say in some cases it isn't, but that's something you would have to look up and confer people. But the fact is that, I mean, Neptune and Pisces can be about diseases that can't be eradicated or cured. It's hitting one's first house. That could give a greater propensity for having something affecting your physical health, your constitution that is associated with a disease that can't be eradicated or cured. Now, another thing I notice is that we have to keep in mind, I mean, he died of pancreatic cancer. The pancreas can be associated, as far as planets go, Jupiter and the moon, and you're talking about the zodiac signs Virgo, and I would say Cancer the zodiac sign Cancer can be associated with it. When I looked on his sixth house of health in the solar/sunrise chart, he does have the zodiac sign Cancer on the sixth house cusp, so that could be an indicator of a health related issue that can be tied in with the pancreas. And he also had, based on the solar sunrise chart, he had the zodiac sign Cancer is also at 29 degrees, which of course is a critical degree in astrology. It can be a degree of upheaval and crisis. So it's not surprising that even though it's a solar sunrise chart, he had the sixth house cusp at 29 degrees. He also has Pluto conjunct the moon in that sixth house of health. And I mean, you're talking about the moon can be connected maybe connected with something pancreatic cancer, and then you have Pluto by it. Well, Pluto, of course, is associated with death, so it's not surprising that he died as a result of this pancreatic cancer. And the moon, of course, is the ruler of that sixth house of health, and Pluto conjuncts it. Another thing I noticed too, he has Jupiter in the first house as well, and Jupiter can be associated with the pancreas. And you're talking about Jupiter in the first house, and so the first house of the physical body. So it's not surprising that there were physical issues, debilitations that were associated with the pancreas. And also too, I understand it's generational, but he has Neptune in Virgo, and it's also it's in the seventh house, but it's still the fact that, I mean, you're talking about Neptune and Virgo, though generational in some isolated cases. Neptune, of course, could be about dissolving and dissipation. Virgo is the sign of health. Virgo is also associated with the pancreas, so that can be an indicator that there can be some dissolving of not just a physical health, but something weakness associated with the pancreas, and that is how this may have manifested and panned out with him. I don't think that was really a main culprit as far as the situation goes, but it was what I talked about previously prior to that. He also has the ruler of his eighth house. Okay, he's got Libra on the cusp of that eighth house, and that the ruler, of course, is Venus, and it conjuncts Jupiter in his first house. So that could also be an indicator of a death connected with the pancreas because it's conjuncting Jupiter, and Jupiter, of course, can be associated with the pancreas. And also, the fourth house cusp is Gemini. And the ruler of that, of course, is Mercury, which falls in the first house, Mercury in Pisces. Fourth house cusp governs the latter part end of life. You're talking about transit Neptune hitting that ruler. So that's another indicator where you have a dissolving of that latter, that end part of one's life. He also has Chiron in the zodiac sign Cancer. In some cases, that could give some. Chiron is not just about emotional wounds, they could be about physical wounds as well, and suffering. In the zodiac sign Cancer, the zodiac sign that can be associated, one of the signs that can be associated with the pancreas. So those are some indicators that I saw at this time, as far as him, the transits, and him passing sadly. So, and he also appears to have transit Chiron being in the first house at this time as well. The first house, the physical body, and Chiron again can be associated with not just emotional suffering but physical ones as well. There's really not much more really had to say about this as far as any transits may go, and how it might have been tied into his passing, or natal placements tied in to his passing at the time. Transit Sun was not far from his natal Pluto at this time, and sometimes when you're talking about Sun, the Sun is associated with life in astrology, life and vitality. You're talking about Pluto, of course, is the planet associated with death. Pluto sometimes will obliterate life, and perhaps that's how that manifested at this time. You have transit Sun in Cancer, and again, the zodiac sign Cancer can be associated with the pancreas. There's really not much more I had to say regarding this. That is pretty much it. At this time, and it's just terrible. Just want to offer my condolences to any friends and family of him that may see this video, and may he be in a much better place right now. Did a lot for a very prominent civil rights movement, a very brave, seemed like fearless personality, and a lot of that, I wonder if that, has to do with his Leo moon, doing things with a lot of ferocity, a lot of courage, a lot of fortitude, and having Pluto in it, and, based on the solar sunrise time anyway, Pluto conjuncts the moon, so that could give power to this as well. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.